allowed to be nervous. Look at the camera, not at the screen. All right.
Okay. And welcome. Good afternoon. This is the 2016 TCS SoCal Comp Finals here at Cliffs of It in Culver City.
Yes, I'm Alex, and this is Tia over here. We had about 650 people come down to try their hand at competing in our bouldering finale here at Cliffs. A select few of those made it to our on-site finals comp, and here we are.
We're going to get started in a couple minutes, and it's going to be amazing.
I'm so excited.
I am super stoked. It's going to be rad. Doing some previewing right now. A lot of people. We had over 650 competitors come today. Lots of pizza, lots of beer.
The world's largest pizza, allegedly.
The world's yeah. I don't know if you've seen these pizzas. They were ginormous.
All right, looks like we're about to get started.
Excellent.
Definitely a capacity crowd here.
Yeah, I think they're having to stand outside looking through the roll-up gates. I think we have run out of room for people actually in the building right now.
But we're pretty used to people loitering in our parking lot. So nothing has changed. This is part 3 of our SoCal bouldering series. Started at Lab over in downtown, the first of our SoCal Touchstone gyms, followed up by Hollywood in July, I believe. So this is where it all comes to a head with our SoCal bouldering finals.
Cannot wait. The stoke is high.
Here at Cliffs, where we just completed construction on our gorgeous rope walls that you can see in the back over there.
They are lovely.
Just
they
waiting
are really fun
to catch your falls on our wonderful, stretchy, brand new ropes. And that was some pretty exciting billable hours that we had for running some of those routes back there.
It was great. Purple 13, still on the list.
Still super hard.
Still super hard. Super fun.
Yellow 12 something, still on my list. The yellow 11, still.
Getting used to feeling the pump of being on a sport route again.
Getting used to climbing that much. I'm fine up to 20 feet. Past that, I am noodly and useless. We got some extra cool looking finals problems up here.
Yep, so today it looks like our final problems are set on the barrel, the squid, and the turtle head, and the right turtle flipper.
And kind of also the turtle armpit.
Yeah, little turtle armpit action.
Turtle armpit. Okay. See our head route setter, J-Ho, down there.
Fearless leader.
Just hyping up the crowd one last time as we're about to get underway. So we had all of our athletes come out and just take a quick look, maybe a quick feel of some of these problems they're going to be on, and now they are all back in isolation in that wonderful roped climbing area. We got a little close-up of J-Ho right there, the man himself.
Great.
The architect of our wonderful bouldering problems.
And it looks like we are about to start with women's 1 in the turtle armpit.
All right, this is Mariana Mendoza, one of the stronger resident climbers we see regularly here at Cliffs.
Indeed.
Along with the Kassar brothers. She's making some pretty quick work of that.
That heel is really comfortable. It's a really nice move out.
But that little intermediate on that kind of textured bubble wrap hold, not always easy.
Yep, figuring it out.
Ooh, scumming with the knee a little bit. There we go. Nice.
Nice.
And this is the first time that we as commentators have seen these problems actually being climbed by the competitors. And that was a flash of women's 1 by Mariana Mendoza. Pretty impressive, but not unusual for her.
Excellent. Looks like there is someone on men's 1 over, looks like Dan Beall. Working through that one. Excellent.
Looks like he's slipping in. It looks like he was trying out that knee bar for a split second.
Yep, back into
and
it,
we're
yep.
back into it. See that? Oh, yeah, he has a little opportunity to rest, shake out just a bit.
It's a little humid today, so hopefully the evening air cools off a little, makes these holds a little stickier.
Thank you for the meteorological update,
And that is a nice rest.
upside down knee bar. That is incredible.
Pleaser.
Dan was kind of the originator of one of the hardest lines that climbing has seen so far in terms of high ball bouldering out in Bishop, which is the process.
Great, and he's getting near the top on this one.
And this is for the flash, right, Tia? This is.
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
yeah. Oh, there he goes.
That was first attempt.
All right, he's taking a few seconds to kind of shake it out. Gonna hop back on this in a minute. I believe the competitors have 5 minutes per problem.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So as many attempts as they can get within those 5 minutes.
And a lot of times what climbers will do is wait until the very last minute, especially when it comes to their final attempts to jump on, because once the clock runs out, if they're on, they get to stay on, they get to keep trying. A lot of times people will really maximize that rest until they know that they are ready to go again.
That's why previews are super important to kind of figure out what you think your beta is going to be before you hop on the problem. Sometimes, you know, your beta, what you think is going to happen, actually doesn't happen, so you have to readjust mid-climb. So always interesting.
Especially with these kind of overhanging routes. It's not always the beta you think it's going to be once you're actually up there and feel the ways that gravity is trying to rip you off this incredibly steep terrain.
Yeah, we've gotten actually a lot of new holds that I've never seen in before, so it's really cool to have some new features to climb on, a lot of volume set, always really interesting to set comp finals.
All right, crowd getting super stoked for Dan's second attempt. All right, he's sizing it up one last time. Looks like he's strapping on his chalk bag for another go.
I like it. And our barrel is pumpy. It is a long, I think the height is about 17 feet, but look at, there it is.
That's cool. We didn't actually get to see. We didn't actually get to see the beginning of men's one, which is a super burly dyno. All right, into that pocket.
Great. He's making the transition through the middle again. This is where he did that knee bar last time. We'll see if he does it again.
I'm not sure he needs it this time, as he's already kind of sussed out what his battle plan is, but he's using it as a point to rest a little bit, chalk up. Pretty smart move. I know Dan has competed in several of our competitions, as well as some others here and there. Not unusual to see somebody with these kind of advanced comp strategies.
Yeah, a lot of these competitors are pretty seasoned as far as the comp circuit goes, so they know kind of what to expect, what they're in for.
I'm just happy to have the beta on all these problems before we go out and try them ourselves in the next couple weeks. Couple fruitless weeks of projecting, I imagine, for what Dan can do in about 2 minutes.
All right, and it looks like he's going to transition out of those knee bars, or maybe just take a little longer rest, really milk that knee bar for all of its comfort.
Oh yeah, milking that knee bar. And if you haven't climbed on these holds before, it's a little similar to sandstone, I would say. And there's really not a lot of obvious places to grip. You really have to kind of search for that sweet spot if you are not acquainted with
A
these
very
kinds of holds.
soft sandstone, a very red rock type sandstone. I would not say a bullet hard Indian Creek by any means.
Well, you certainly know more about the outdoor climbing locations our wonderful country has to offer on this, the day after the 100th anniversary of our park system.
Excellent. He's moving up.
There we go.
Let's see if he can work the top out on this one.
All right, this is his high point last time. Oh.
That is a sloper. It is not good.
Once again, it's a hold where you really have to find that sweet spot.
All right, not sure how much time he has left or if that was
I think he's
final attempt. I think he has one more go left.
Yep.
Great. Looks like we are also setting up our next two climbers for their attempts.
All right, and looks like Dan is going to call it. Conserve a little bit of energy for the next two problems.
Great. And next up we have Josh Levin.
Yes, and Lila Neahring.
All right, and they're both sussing out their routes.
All right, ready to
Getting
start.
stoked. And it's really nice to see a lot of familiar faces here at Touchstone, and also those from just kind of all over SoCal, even some from NorCal as well.
Yep.
There it is.
Definitely lots of folks coming out from LA Boulders, Hollywood Boulders, or other wonderful climbing destinations down here at Touchstone SoCal.
The start of this one, of men's one, is so fun.
I cannot
fun.
wait to try this after hours, after everyone has vacated the building, because then nobody will see me falling off.
Those pockets are really comfortable. They're really nice dual text on the outside, but really good texture inside, very comfortable.
And I'm pretty sure those were broken out just for this competition. And we have another flash of women's one, this time by Lila. Not unexpected with how strong so many of our female competitors are this season.
Definitely.
All right, so Josh is foregoing the knee bar on this one, although we might see that
Flip
happen.
it, yeah.
You can already see he's taking a lot of energy trying to chalk up transition. He's just campusing through this move.
There's that knee bar.
Yeah, there it is.
Definitely a great place to rest. Definitely
Yeah.
a crowd pleaser to be. Doing a little upside down hang there.
He looks pretty happy with himself, too. I mean, it's always nice to find a little knee bar rest, especially in a circumstance like this where your attempts are limited.
Also, and what a great setting team we had that came down from NorCal and all of our SoCal setters. They were really excited to set these final problems, really inspired. So it's really great to finally see some very, very strong competitors working through these problems.
All right, so Josh is up to Dan's high point. If he can stick this next move, he will pull into the lead. We are just getting underway here. The finales of SoCal's Bouldering TCS 2016. Oh, look, it's our backs.
And it looks like he stuck it. Excellent.
Nice.
So you can top this out.
Yep, just what I thought. Nice
There
little
it
heel in
is.
there.
Nice.
All right. Match the finish hold. Was that a flash?
Yes.
Nice, very good. And Josh goes ahead and flashes men's one, putting him squarely in the lead. We still have another 5 competitors waiting to take their turns on both men and women's one. Man, I just look at everyone crammed into Cliffs of Id here, just waiting to watch some of the strongest climbers in SoCal.
I would love to see
Face
what the
off.
parking lot looks like. How many people are hanging out outside, peeking through the roll-up doors,
Quite a few.
munching on some pizza.
Oh yeah,
Look at
they're even
that.
up on the ladders. Standing on the tables, just trying to get a glimpse.
It's like a can of sardines in here, Alex.
Absolutely. Just as greasy to you.
All right. And it looks like we are moving on to our third round of finalists.
All right. Coming up, we have Hank Gaylord and Elise Buser.
Great, and we get a nice look at the start of women's 1 here.
And it looks like we just had a little bit of an explosive attempt at men's 1 that did not go over so well.
That is quite a dyno. It seems not as far until you're up close and under it.
And when you have about, 500 people watching your every move, both in person and online.
And Elise is working through women's 1 nicely.
Cut back to Hank, see how he's progressing. Nice big campus move, towing in pretty hard. Looks like he's just about to head out to that dual text pocket. Ooh, and Elise falls off midway through.
Yeah, I couldn't quite tell, but it looked like her heel was not as solid as it could have been moving off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Hank's moving into that knee bar there, taking a rest.
Yep. And Elise is still eyeing out women's 1. Elise is actually one of our route setters up in our Northern California Touchstone division, and is now enrolled in UC Davis. It's always nice when us
One of our
climbers are
own's working it
hyper-educated
out.
folk. Oh yeah, that too. I just also like to see climbers pursuing higher education.
All right, so Lisa's second attempt on women's 1.
All right.
And it looks like Hank just fell off of the last hold. See if he gets another attempt in. And Elise is moving through top
Very
of
nice.
women's 1. See if she can top this out. And she does.
And there it
Excellent.
goes. Representing for the entire Touchstone route setting team. Only took her 2 attempts.
They can probably get in one more attempt on men's 1 here. Taking a nice rest, brushing off some holds.
And so far it looks like our male climbers are really just struggling with that final move.
Those holds are very slopey. They are not good, especially at that angle.
Especially after all that hard, burly physical climbing, having to make such a big dead point move into something so slopey is incredibly difficult. And that's why these are some of the strongest climbers we have with Touchstone. If it looks hard for them, it is almost impossible for the rest of us. You can kind of catch a glimpse of, let's see, I believe that is the final 2 female problems. As you pan around the gym.
All right, definitely Hank's last attempt at men's 1.
Oh.
Oof.
It's a big, big move. Involves a lot of momentum being generated off of that first hold and then a very specific release.
Yeah, you're going to a jug, but you have to hit it just right. And you have, like you were saying, you got to get the momentum going and just commit to swinging over.
There is a risk, too, of dragging your feet on the mat and face planting right into those cushy flashed flooring pads we have right below our gigantically tall
All right,
boulder
Hank's
problems
giving
here.
it one more go. And he gets
Yeah,
it.
nice. Still campusing out to that second move. So strong.
Great, moving back into that knee bar. See if he can take a rest here. He's looking a little pumped. Shake it out. Really work that knee bar.
And it seems like most of our competitors are finding that knee bar despite being kept in isolation. It's really surprising because it's not necessarily the most intuitive move.
I just feel like for a lot of these competitors, they kind of understand the comp routes and just maybe movement that to the rest of us might be a little cryptic. And
Cryptic is the perfect word.
going for
Wow. All right, we are already 3 competitors underway on the first problem of our SoCal Bouldering Series finale here at Touchstone, Cliffs of Id.
All right, and our next 2 competitors up are Cody Fults and Kira Condi. Should be coming out any second.
It looks like a couple of our spectators have laid down their crash pad just to give them an extra few inches of visibility in the midst of this thronging crowd of spectators here at Cliffs.
Why not get comfy, Alex?
Why not?
It's also nice that this first men's 1 problem just takes full advantage of the just massive amount of space we have on our barrel here.
Mm-hmm. And it does help an epic space look extra massive when you have these spotlight problems taking up huge portions of real estate on the walls. It's
Kira's moving nicely through women's 1, almost to the top. Looking to move up to the last set of volumes. And she stuck it, and she is now topping out.
all right.
Excellent.
Kyra Condi flashing women's 1. That's 3 out of 4 competitors to flash the first women's problem. All right, we got Cody sizing it up for another go. We have not seen a flash on men's 1 yet, or actually we did with Josh.
Looks like he's going to go debating going straight out to that finger pocket, but I think he made the right call going up right first.
Although I would not be surprised to see him going for that pocket again, considering he came up a bit short, just slapping the underside of that volume, trying to get out to the left.
Yeah, the pocket's great, but you got to make the move to get it.
And those are holds we're pretty unfamiliar with here so far. Have not had many of these pockets. Whole lots of fun new shapes and very, very textured holds to play on here at Cliffs in the next few weeks and months. Especially with the rope section opening too, it's been quite hard on some of our local climbers' hands to keep up with all the freshies that we are setting.
Alright, crowd is cheering Cody on, trying to get him stoked for this third attempt, I believe. I love the opening move of this men's one problem. It's so fun, such a crowd pleaser. Always good to see dynamic movement. Ooh, just missed that pocket.
Yeah, just having a little trouble sussing out the location of that next hold. And I would not be surprised if that was incredibly intentional from the route setter standpoint. Kind of trying to test out that immediate muscle memory for gauging where exactly they need to hit from a totally blind throw. All right, looks like they got a minute 30 left. Cody has just a minute and a half to rest up, shake it out, and try again. It looks like he might try to get one more attempt in.
Maybe two.
Maybe two.
Maybe two. And
right.
raising the roof.
Yeah,
Raise
a couple
it.
of our spectators getting the crowd hyped.
All right, Cody is hopping back on.
All right. No problem with that first move. Looks like he's got his foot pretty set into the wall for that second bump that we saw Hank kind of campusing through. Looks like he's just still getting vexed by this pocket around the corner on the volume. Using the volume as an intermediate. There we go. So now he is in unexplored territory. This is definitely his high point for men's one. Finding that small foot. Looks like a little toe hook around the volume.
And not sure how much time he has left. That might have been his final attempt on this men's one problem.
Yeah, I believe that does call it for Cody's attempt at men's one, but there are still two more problems. Looks like we are at the halfway point for our first problem for both men and women competitors. Looks like right now we're bringing up Mike McGee and Katie Malinowski.
And it definitely seems like the women are having a much easier time with their women's one than the men are with theirs.
And it's something that you see more and more in competitions where whole groups of female competitors are pretty much flashing tons of their problems, and it just really reflects, you know, I mean, there's just so many strong female climbers out here.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing for the community to just have so many strong women coming out, seeing people just really seeing the sport grow for, you know, all groups of people. Climbing is a great thing. Doesn't really matter gender, age, you know, there's a way for you to get up a route.
It is an incredible equalizer. What a fun sport. Ain't this
Love
a great
it.
sport? Look at how great this is. All right.
Olympics 2020.
Olympics
Get
2020 in
ready.
Tokyo. So excited. I mean, we might have some future Olympians out on the floor tonight.
I'm sure they're in the room at this very minute.
I'm sure some of them are going to be Team Touchstone kids before they even go to the Olympics. So, you know, get your kids enrolled today in our wonderful recreation, intermediate, and competition level teams.
All right, and Katie on the start of women's one here.
Cruising through those volumes.
Those holds are really nice. They feel really good once you're on them. Just got to make those moves up.
Right, Mike taking a different
Ooh.
approach. Instead of the head-on, he kind of did a sideways dyno out to that nice, gigantic jug.
Going against the grain there.
Mm-hmm.
See if Katie can get that second heel in.
Yeah, you saw her just kind of struggling to cut her heel off of that far right semicircle.
Yeah, depending on your height, it's a pretty extended move out and then up. But the top of that volume she just got is really nice. And she's up.
All right, another flash from Katie. Which means all but one of our female competitors have flashed women's number one.
Great, Mike is at about the halfway point, also getting in that knee bar. Moving out of it.
All right. Getting up to this vexing high point, many of our male climbers have fallen off of, and Mike falls victim to a very hard dead point into that slopey piece of weirdness right at the top of our 18-foot high barrel.
It's like an alien nest.
Yes, an alien nest. It is always hard to come up with some naming terminology for all of these oddly shaped holes we're seeing coming out.
And he's definitely got enough time to take a good rest, maybe give it one or two more attempts.
Looks like he's casting off the chalk bag. All right, crowd's socializing amongst themselves while Mike takes an extended little rest here. Psyching up for that first big dynamic move, followed by lots of sustained overhung climbing into a very, very tricky and powerful finish.
Nice view of all the friendly faces coming out to TCS 2016 here tonight. Cliffs of Id.
All right, so about 1:15 left on the clock. Mike still psyching up for his final attempt at men's one.
And a lot of people often ask, Alex, what's up with Cliffs of Id? Where does that name come from?
I believe it was Ray Banham. Is that the guy's
so.
name? It's explained very articulately on our FAQ. However, it is from a book describing the various socio-ecological regions of LA. One of which is the Plains of Id, where we find ourselves, where your wildest creative impulses can run free.
Which has now become Culver City.
Yes, apparently that's Culver City now. So,
hence the name.
well, yeah,
Cliffs of Id.
you know, we put up some extra high walls. Now it's the Cliffs of Id, the climbing gym where your wild creative impulses can run free. This little interpretive architecture lesson for everyone listening out there on our YouTube live stream.
It looks like he's going for that sideways dyno again, and nice.
Looks like he has a nice little heel hook in that tangle of holds comprising the second move.
Moving nicely through this middle section of men's one.
It looks like he readjusted his grip.
Oof.
Ooh. Those are not incredibly positive holds to grab onto, especially depending on their orientation and their angle. really changes how positive that grip is.
Great, and our next two competitors are Connor Gurzi and Sarah Pearce.
All right, here are Connor and Sarah. Connor parting the crowd of spectators gathered between the flooring here. That's route setter Holland explaining things one last time to Sarah. She gets ready to attempt women's problem number 1. 5 minutes just started counting down. Looks like she's just sussing out her beta one last time. Let's see if Sarah gives us our 5th flash of the evening on women's 1. Nice little hand-foot match. I don't think we've seen that before. And a beautiful dyno from Connor over there.
Looks like he's going to getting the heel at that right. Interesting. Oh, now he's switching it.
I've seen a lot of variation on the opening moves for this, whether it's a campus or it's a heel hook around the back of that big jug.
Yeah, it looks like Sarah's getting a toe down on that first bubble wrap. Hold,
Yep.
now moving to the heel. Going up to the volume.
All right. Shoving those hips up, and I think
So
we are
smooth.
seeing it. We're seeing a flash on women's number 1 again.
And Connor's working his way into that middle section, see if he turns out into the knee bar or just goes for it.
Ooh, a heel hook this time. Not going for the knee bar, which once again makes me feel better about that and being not necessarily the most intuitive move to make in that
That was a
certain
strong
circumstance.
campus up.
Uh-huh. Nice, and I like that cross there. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that already. Especially
There
because it
is.
really
See if he
shortens the
matches
reach.
this for the flash.
There it is. All right. Simul-flashing men and women's 1. Sarah Pearce and Connor Gurzi.
Working it out.
He looks pretty happy with himself. He's looking pretty chipper about his performance on that one. Especially when you're in ISO and you see climbers coming back, you know that every cheer out there is about something on the men's problem.
It looks like our final 2 for men and women's 1 are coming out. Kyle Owen and Amelia Marcuson.
And Connor and Sarah really making quick work of their attempts, and we're already down to the final competitors on the first problem for both men and women.
Kyle getting some love there.
Some deep focus from Kyle there, eyes closed, just soaking in the moment. Sussing out that real difficult first move. All right, Amelia ready to begin. All right, slipping in that foot into the starting hold. All right, Kyle going for the heel hook approach this time. No problem with this beginning portion.
Great, Amelia's also about halfway through, working her
Looks like she's off of women's 1.
SoCal's moving up towards the last holds on men's 1.
All right, really sticking that tension. Oh, and he's dropped back a little bit. Ooh, very nice.
Big move up. That was nice.
Another flash for men's 1. So Kyle did something a little different there. He ended up dropping his foot back down to one of the lower holds on men's 1. Kind of square off his hips a little bit just to shoot for that final sloper. And it looks like they're doing just a little bit of maintenance on women's 1. Not sure how this will affect Amelia's score necessarily. Looks like we might have had a hold spin up there.
And giving a quick reset, and looks like she is about ready to get on it again. I wonder if there's any pizza left.
Absolutely not.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure there's no pizza left. These are climbers, Tia.
It's true.
They're not normal people.
I don't know but did you see the size of those boxes of pizza?
Yeah, but that was free pizza. And once again, these are climbers.
It's true. One can hope.
Keep dreaming.
Alright, it looks like they are restarting her time. She's still got her back turned towards women's 1. After they made that quick adjustment. There she goes.
All right. And Amelia going for the second attempt at the flash. Not often something you get to do in a bouldering comp. And making pretty quick work of those sections that she's already gone through.
Yeah, those bubble wrap holds feel really nice at the right angle.
That was impressive how she swapped out her hands on that teeny tiny crimp while almost completely horizontal, about 5 feet off the ground.
Nice. Ooh,
She's
that
kind
is
of
a
slapping
slopey
for
there
just a little purchase up there, and she's found it.
Nice. And there it is.
We're seeing a lot of the other female competitors just hitting the volume, which is plenty textured.
Yeah, and the left volume is definitely better than the one that she was on. Much less slopey.
But once again, that's why we keep all of our competitors in isolation, so they cannot get any kind of advantage from going last. It's every climber for themselves.
All right, and we are soon to be moving on to men and women's 2 here at the TCS 2016 finals at Culver City Cliffs of Id, Southern California.
All right, and we were talking about volumes for a quick second with Amelia's send of women's number 1, and I think we'll be seeing some more interesting volume-based contortion acts with men's 2.
Next up we have Mariana coming back out and Daniel.
All right, and you can see a little bit of extra energy going through the crowd, ready to take on a new problem.
Men's 2 is a tough one. Definitely takes a lot of strong tech work. Can't necessarily muscle through this one. And it might be a little more cryptic than one might think at first glance.
Incredibly cryptic, and even more than that, it seems like a very patient problem. It seems like the kind of moves that require a lot of delicate, thoughtful movement. Not exactly the kind of thing that gets any all of the pressure.
Mariana working through the first part of women's 2.
Just shuffling her hands, trying to find the sweet spots. She can get out left, and she does.
Nice. And she's making it look easy, but that move required a lot of tension, pulling into those volumes.
Dan's still wrestling with that first move.
And Mariana and Dan are both off of their first attempts on men and women's 2.
Which, for how strong of climbers they are, should really underscore the difficulty in this second set of problems for both men and women. All right, looks like Dan is pinched down on one of those lower volumes.
Yep. And again, both of these climbs, men and women's 2, require so much body tension.
All right, I believe Mariana just hit her high point.
Yep. And a big move going out right to that gas stone.
It's very nasty, very crimpy, fingery little hold.
And this route's really interesting too, Alex, because it is very sustained. It looks, again, not just a lot of tension, but you're climbing just for a long time, going all the way out left, back right, back left again.
And something our viewers at home don't see is that each of those red sections kicks back at least, what, 30 degrees, 35? It is fairly steep. You can kind of get a glimpse of it now at what you're really wrestling with when it comes to keeping your hips tucked into that very sharp wall geometry.
I also gotta say, I love the color combo of these volumes, the teal on red. It's great.
It looks great. Oh, Mariana peeling off again, very close to the top.
And that this red on teal section is called the squid.
Yes, it is.
For those of you unfamiliar with the gym.
And if you've ever been wondering how we talk about all of the various areas of our gym, you can find a diagram with names all over it on touchstoneclimbing.com/cliffsovid. We have a full map near the bottom. We also update you with what areas we have set lately. I know when I was a member, it was one of the first things I checked in the morning, whether or not Berkeley Ironworks up in Berkeley, California, had set any new problems.
And it looks like Dan is close to the about 2/3 of the way through men's 2.
All right.
Getting a nice perch on that volume there.
Really just grabbing the very tips of those volumes where you can get at least a little leverage from a pinch. Ooh, and the toe hook.
Nice.
On the underside of that arch.
And that is a big move up.
Yeah, I don't know if that toe hook is going to work. I don't know if you can be so tucked into the wall like that and generate off the right foot like you need to hit that very far away and not so textured volume at the very top. Dan giving things a little brush here. It's like Mariana is still resting up.
Definitely. That women's 2 is very, very sustained. Definitely want to get a good deep pump in before you're between attempts.
If only to maximize your time. All right, Mariana cruising through these opening moves that she's done a couple times now. Ooh.
Oof. Looks like she almost punched the volume there. That cannot feel good.
And I wonder if she's out of time. It looks like she is. So we're already seeing problem number 2 to be a little tougher than the first problems we had. And that could have a little to do with how much energy our competitors expended on their first problems here.
Yeah, and even just the difference between men's 1 and 2. Very different styles. Again, men's 2 very techy compared to the more burly campusy men's 1.
Mm-hmm. But it's always nice to have a little bit of a break when you have to really focus on your breathing and your poise and kind of calming down a little bit after something so physical like we saw with men's 1.
And we're back with our second round of Lila Neahring and Josh Levin.
Lila a little unsure about the hand sequence. She's just skipping some moves there.
Oof. That's a big move out left there.
Very big, and looks like she's still sussing out the sequence just a little bit. Josh, meanwhile, is looking pretty thoughtful and pretty poised out there. Trying to figure out the hand positioning around these volumes, sinking way down. Get just a little bit of a rest.
Just figuring out how to turn that corner up to that next volume.
He does have to move a little quickly.
Just missed it. Just missed it.
It's easy to take a lot of time trying to figure out what the ideal move is. And if it doesn't work out, that just gives you less time for subsequent attempts. Definitely competing a little bit against the clock. All right, Lila taking another attempt at women's 2.
Yeah, this route definitely can be puzzling. I think there are a lot of options for making moves, getting up.
She definitely found the hand placement on that farther, I don't even know what you would call it. I guess it's a little pinchy, but
it's definitely slopey. It's not good. That is not a good hand.
Whatever you want to call that heinous hold, she was able to find the sweet spot a little more readily. Line back into this crimp. She's making it up. Very sustained and steep route. Almost every move on this terrain feels like you are about to fall off, which...
And it is not over yet.
Yep. This next sequence looks pretty sparse.
It is, and the angle, like you mentioned, of that wall does not make it easy.
All right, we got Josh taking a little bit of a different approach here, getting under that little teeny tiny handhold on the outside of that volume. Ready to try out this transition that looks pretty wide. Well, looks like there's a little volume just out of frame above.
Said the
all right.
2-finger sloper. Never the ideal hand placement.
And it can be really challenging for setters to force these moves that such strong climbers have problems with. I mean, it's just always impressive to see how they are able to make just about anyone fail.
It looks like they might each have enough time for one attempt, one more attempt at men and women's 2.
It's always just so nice seeing all of the Touchstone regulars showing up and representing out in the crowd. Definitely tons of familiar faces out there all throughout the night.
Getting the stoke up again, people cheering on these finalists.
I imagine this is their last attempts at both of these problems.
And Lila is off.
Yep, and that is time for Lila. Excellent attempt. I cannot wait to get on women's 2. It seems incredibly difficult and very satisfyingly technical on some steep terrain.
And Josh getting a really great rest in before he makes his final attempts to go up and get a good hold of that higher volume that is off screen a little bit.
And I believe that he is out of time if you were to fall off now, so every little bit of rest counts.
Did not quite get that foot.
So far, men's 2 has not seen a top yet. Not surprising given how incredibly technical it looks just at face value. One of the best parts about all of our TCS comp dates is that you too can come in and climb these competition problems. Should have these finals problems up for a little bit of time, about a month and a half probably. So you can come in and try your hand at it.
Great, and we are back with our third set of finalists, Hank and Elise.
Elise once again representing for the Touchstone route setting team from Northern California. Yep, Hank sinking his weight low, shuffling his hands across that first volume. Elise taking it nice and slow.
That was a nice foot transition into that left foot around the corner.
Looks like a little toe hook on that arete. They're definitely a fan of toe hooks here at Cliffs.
Great, and Elise is moving up.
Just taking it nice and slow, nice controlled burn, hoping for the flash here. Ooh.
Oof, both of these men and women 2 problems just spitting off finalists.
They are. Taking a little time to brush it off. Not only increasing the friction a little bit, but just kind of getting an extra feel for where that sweet spot might be on some of these handholds higher up. All right, Hank back in familiar territory, just working out this second volume on men's 2. Pretty comfortable crossing his hands through. It's just this last move here that seems to be throwing him. A little more static that time, and still did not stick.
Yeah, I think he has time for one more go.
He does. I think he's going to have to re-examine his approach for the final attempt. Touchstone members, Louie and Flo right there, getting into music.
Hank and Elise both taking their time for their, what I believe is their last attempt on men and women's 2.
Elise still moving very cautiously, but picking up the pace just a bit. Nice deep drop knee. Looks like Hank is kind of re-examining his approach. Looks like he's trying to get that right foot out. Just doesn't work.
Taking a different approach, going straight up, using her height to her advantage on that, skipping some of those other less friendly holds on that red volume.
Polite way of putting it to you. Less friendly, sure. Hank still wrestling.
Great, and
Just
Elise
that
moving
third
up.
move.
And now making the transition out left.
Up, and Hank is off again. Oh, and so is Elise. We are seeing the second problem for both men and women vexing our competitors here.
Very puzzling, very sustained, very technical.
And sustained in two very different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Elise does have a little bit more time. Or was she just called off the wall? Oh, it looks like both of these competitors just had one last chance. Ooh, and Hank touched the hold he was going for, but unfortunately came right off of it. Which leaves us with all right. Doing it again. It leaves us with Elise still making that move all the way up.
Yeah, she's moving nicely through the sequence. Definitely has this part dialed. Just gotta keep the endurance up and figure out the sequence to move all the way through to the finish of women's 2.
Well, it helps that she is able to bypass a few moves down below.
That definitely saves some strength.
And now you see her getting into this thoughtful territory, and oh, just
There
holding
it
that
is.
tension and planting a foot. That's got to feel good. Really
She is-
weighting
see
that
if she
foot.
can keep moving through and rocking over onto that, matching that final hold.
It looks like a pretty tough sloper to wrestle around right before that final little ledge.
Nice, and the crowd is super stoked.
They are
on her
losing it
moving
down
over.
there,
Let's see if
seeing-
she-
Oh, yeah. I think she's got it. With that foot, she should just be able to maintain control and match the finish
there it
hold
is,
right
nice.
there.
Women's 2
Nice.
going down.
All right, so our first finish on women's 2 after the buzzer. Elise Buser doing her other route-setting team members proud on women's 2. All right, so we have Cody Fults and Kyra Condi out again. Cody just taking 1 second to just get a grip on these volumes before he sets off for his flash attempt.
And Kira is working her way up. Women's 2.
Really having a hard time choosing her foot position here.
Yeah, the way those walls are angled, Alex, it kind of kicks your body out. So it might be a little hard to tell, but it's definitely not easy to keep tension throughout that whole sequence.
I don't doubt it for a single second, seeing it up here from the profile view of the wall. Meanwhile, we have Cody going through a difficult opener for men's 2.
Great, and Kira is moving up, nearing the top of women's 2. Trying to move quickly, save some energy.
All right, and getting that foot down, which I think is the key to sticking that particular sequence. Just a little peace of mind that you have something supporting you.
And she's got it.
All right, so we have our second finish for women's 2. And I believe that was the flash. But we will have to check in with the official scores later. This leaves us with Cody. Watching him wrestle it out on men's 2 up here. Almost exclusively climbing on these red volumes.
And he is just not having an easy time sticking those.
Not at all.
Get some alcohol, drying out those hands. It was a slightly humid day today, Alex, so I'm sure that's affecting the skin right now.
I'm sure it
right
will
about
be.
now.
It's
cool ocean air sweeping into our lovely sunny SoCal summer day.
That is the wonderful thing about the large bay doors we kick open here at Cliffs. Simulates some of those outdoor conditions. Friction is important, even with plastic. All right, just waiting for Cody to chalk up, take a little rest, get his head in the game. He's got about 1:40 left. Just got a glimpse of the clock down there. Swinging off that move.
Definitely some tenuous movement through this men's 2 problem. It cannot be powered. Definitely has to be finessed.
The clock's still ticking for Cody here. Just can't stick it. It's hard to sink your weight that low while being able to move to the right at all to grab onto that tiny little thumb catch of a hold on the outside of the volume.
It almost looks like, and if you are taller, it is a little more precarious and a little more boxy.
Just another reason why short climbers don't have to fret so much. Only gets easier the
Sometimes
harder
I
you
appreciate
climb.
being short, you know?
All the dihedrals. All right, one frenetic last attempt. Just beat the clock. Yep.
This was not able to hold the body tension on that move.
Crowd cheered him on. Excellent attempt. This is not easy. All right, we are back. Mike McGee, Katie Malinowski. Katie's sussing out that opening move. Seen a little bit of variation in terms of beta on this. Nice big move up to that little bit of an undercling. It's again using that, looks like a toe hook around the arete down there. And now a toe hook on the volume, which I don't believe we have seen before. All right, Mike McGee pressing it out, starting off men's two. Having a hard time sticking that first move into the volume. Those are fairly textured volumes. However, they are not fantastic, especially with that kind of angle. All right. Katie cruising up. Looks like most of our climbers are making pretty quick work of that middle section on women's two. A little caught up trying to figure out what to do next. Oh, and she just falls off. It definitely looks to be the potential crux for women's two. Mike just trying to figure out how to start second men's problem. All right, it looks like Mike has finally gotten off the ground on men's two. Getting that right foot out. He's already gotten past Cody's high point. Ooh, just holding that tension on a very tough right hand. And just
doing the flop.
Just a very delicate resignation into the mats on that one. All right, looks like Katie's chalking up. Ready for another attempt at women's two. Mike is still just kind of hanging back, just taking a look at men's two. I believe he just decided on this opening sequence. Ooh, and there's Katie flying into that undercling again. Might do the toe hook. There it is.
Wow.
Ooh.
That is just a hard move to make with so much body tension with your toe up that high, and that is not a great toe hook. That
it's not.
hold is not ideal by any means.
I think we've seen a little more success with people planting their foot down on the volume, maybe slipping in a toe hook around the arete into the cove area, which you can see on the right there.
And Mike is jumping back onto men's two.
So this does beg the question: Do climbers change up their shoe choice when they're on these different problems? Do they bring out multiple pairs? What's the score with that, Tia?
I don't know. I think it probably not.
Probably not?
I mean, they probably just have what they have, and
I think I'd bring out my whole arsenal if it was me.
your whole arsenal. I mean, I'm sure they have, many pairs of shoes that As far as changing them per route, I don't foresee that being
Think that could really give you the competitive edge. Just saying. Especially those Miuras over there that Mike has. Plenty of edging power there. All right. Ooh. Looked like Katie was about to stick it. That was her final attempt on women's 2. After back-to-back sends by Elise Buser and Kyra Condi, Katie Malinowski just can't pull through that crux section way up high.
All right, coming out now is Sarah and Connor. See how they fare on these men and women's 2 final problems.
It's anyone's guess. They are spitting off tons of our competitors. Connor had a pretty impressive send of men's 1. We'll see how that translates into something a little more technical, a little less burly, a little less dynamic, but a lot more patient.
It's always pleasing to see some good footwork.
Oh yeah. The foundation of your climbing.
Indeed.
It really is.
Often underrated. Often forgotten.
Always.
Always important.
Incredibly important. And there goes Sarah.
And Connor is also working out the start of men's 2, and it looks like he has stepped off of that one, trying to rethink his strategy.
I would be incredibly surprised. I mean, I guess the only person who could go on to flash men's 1 is Kyle. I don't believe we've seen a top on men's 1 yet.
You mean men's 2?
Men's 2.
Men's 2.
Apologies, I'm so caught up in this action.
Sarah is also off of women's 2.
All right, Connor is off the ground, grabbing into the corner of that volume. Walking his feet across.
You can kind of see by their faces just how much tension they really need to keep in order to move through these volumes. It is not easy.
Lots of concentration here. And a little bit of cheek puffing as he hyperventilates off of men's 2. And simulating the move. It's another hard aspect to this style of climbing is that you really don't have the time to project. It's pretty much ground up sends or no send at all.
And Sarah off the ground working through the very beginning of women's 2.
All right, here's Connor again. That little hand
And
cross
Sarah's
right
off.
there. Oof, just stabbing his foot into space there. Just missing that volume.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the larger volumes can be deceiving because you think they're really good because they're larger, but not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm. All right, we are almost at the end of men and women's 2.
Connor really looking like he's working to get over to that third volume there with that chip on it. Just not able to stick it. I think almost maybe too much movement there, too dynamic.
It's hard to generate that kind of movement without pulling your feet off. And so close to the ground, you do not have a lot of room for error. All right, Sarah giving it a little brush while Connor just feels out these volumes here. All right, pushing into the start. gonna... Oh, and Connor is off. Sarah's back in some familiar territory, still working through the top or the bottom of women's 2. Nice big move out to that underclinging sloper.
There, and she
Ooh.
gets that double clutch. Nice.
That is a... Ooh, and she just caught it,
Able
just
to
stayed
hang
on.
on to that. That is quite a large move out to that right-hand Gaston.
Very sensibly, chalking up, resting up a little bit.
Oof.
Oh, and she just doesn't hit it.
And Connor is
Yeah.
done with his attempts on men's 2.
Very
And Sarah
frustrating.
was up right before her time stopped, so she's going to try to work through this.
All right. Men's 2 looking incredibly frustrating. Can't wait to get shut down on it myself. See if she goes to that double clutch again.
There it is. Always fun to watch.
Always fun to watch. It takes a lot of energy to commit.
Oof.
And once again, peeling off that crimp. Great job. They definitely gave him some difficult stuff to wrestle with the second problems of the night. About to have Kyle Owen and Amelia Marcuson come up, which will be our last competitors on both men and women's number 2. Getting ready to move on to some very tough looking, very exciting final problems. Lots of folks down there rocking their purple TCS2016 shirts. Definitely a collector's item.
Have you gotten yours?
I have gotten mine.
Excellent.
I might take another. They will only appreciate in value. All right, so here's Kyle taking a last study of men's 1, and Amelia already underway on women's 2.
And holding that swing very nicely.
All right, Kyle is the last competitor who could flash men's 2. Just caught that little bit of a thumb catch, and he's very delicately moving up to that next volume.
Great static movement from Kyle right now. Also, this color palette is very pleasing to me.
So pleasing. Lots of clash and contrast. Ooh, and Kyle's getting it.
Also, Amelia is nearing the top of women's 2.
All right, both of these climbers just right at some of the cruxiest portions of each of these climbs. Kyle looks incredibly under control. I would not be surprised
he
to
has
see.
hit that final volume.
Oh,
And he is
so
topping
let's top it out
on men's 2.
There it is. Kyle Owen. Did not think we would see a flash on men's 2. We finally got it. And even Amelia is doing quite well on what is arguably the crux.
Also very tricky. Yeah, I mean, at that point, you are also just tired.
All right.
She's going for that final match.
Wrestling with that sloper. She can just match it.
There it is.
There we are.
Great way to finish up men and women's 2 final problems.
So only one top, which happens to be a flash on men's 2, coming from Kyle Owen. I believe Amelia just flashed women's 2.
I believe that was a flash. Yep.
Very good. So we have 3 tops on women's 2 from Elise Buser, Kyra Condi, and Amelia Marcuson, and only 1 top on men's 2, Kyle Owen. An impressive flash on a very patient problem. All right.
Men and women's 3.
Men and women's 3.
I cannot wait.
We are at the end I can't believe it's already almost the end of our Cliffs finale here.
I almost wish it wasn't. Can we just Groundhog Day this and
Well,
start it all over again?
you can always watch the broadcast of this TCS finale on YouTube. We'll be saving a copy of the full broadcast.
Fantastic.
Anytime.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Getting ready for Men and Women's 3.
So you can already get a little bit of a glimpse at what I believe is Women's 3.
This is Men's 3, this purple route
That
we
is
are
Men's 3.
taking a look at. Yeah, Women's 3 is the yellow on the turtle head.
Ah, very good.
La Tortuga, as we like to call it
La
here
Tortuga.
at Cliffs of Id.
And it was kind of a volume nightmare, as I heard it described by one of the setters. What's important to note about the purple Men's 3 is that is a very punishing 45-degree angle.
Very long.
The feeling of exposure up there is pronounced.
Both of these final men and women's routes, they just keep going.
Oh, yeah.
And we see our scores, men's scores, flashing across the screen here.
It's like Kyle Owen is in the lead. 2 tops in 2 attempts. Very impressive. And Kira Condi and Amelia Marcuson tied.
For the ladies.
Yeah, tied for the ladies.
Great. And
All
Mariana
right.
is up on women's 3.
Real long, sustained overhang problem.
Nice. That was
nice big dyno.
What a great dyno.
Then a little bit of volume trickery out on the left side. And already
Down bell working it out
Dan
on
is
men's 3.
upside down. Mariana holding in a very tough, sustained position.
Yeah,
Just
women's 3 just looks very burly, very sustained. It is a long climb with some big, powerful movement.
it's wrestling around those volumes, though, and she peels off. She doesn't look too upset about it, though. Mariana always in pretty good spirits here around Cliffs. Always climbing hard. All right, Dan moving in for his second attempt at men's 3. You can already see looks to be nothing but pinches up this punishing 45-degree angle.
Sloping pinches at that.
Sloping
that rail
pinches.
does not look friendly at all.
Matching that pinch and coming right off. All right, Mariana moving in for attempt number 2. Ooh, that is a
Love that heel.
hard
That
hand
looks-
foot.
Making it look easy.
Oh, yeah. I
What
would
a
just
great dyno.
end up stepping on my toes with moves like that, but Mariana making it look good.
Mariana trying to figure out this footwork. Moving off of these volumes.
Real hard-looking sequence.
Yeah, again, this roof section of our turtle head is very powerful, very sustained. Large moves.
Lots of twisting around, too. That's lots of interesting foot placement and difficulty when it comes to choosing just where you need to orient yourself.
Yeah, both of these routes. A lot of stretching. Good warming up for
Absolutely.
for the hips.
Good thing we offer yoga here. All right, Dan peeling off again. After the rigor of the first 2 problems, something like this, where you really need to come in fresh, is even more difficult. full day of competing and 2 whole finals comp problems later. And Mariana helping us out, cleaning up the pads a little bit and grabbing some of that chalk into her bag.
It's like gold.
It is. Especially the expensive stuff.
Dan having a good chuckle on just the first move on this men's 3 problem.
It is ridiculous.
Ridiculously awesome.
Uh-huh. All right, flying into this dyno move again. Mariana sticks it, and Dan finally gets a little farther. Throwing in that blind heel hook. So now from this angle we can see there's a little bit of toe catch on the other end of that volume.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to do you a lot of good until you get that hand up to
Yep.
that next yellow hold.
Excellent try by Mariana Mendoza. Looks like she got the sequence for that move just a little too late.
Yeah, I love that all of these final problems for the men and women are all so different, you know, utilizing all the range of power and technique.
And even the intersection between the two.
Indeed.
And they're just pretty looking on all this gigantic, these gigantic features we have here. La Tortuga right in the middle. The squid coming into view right on our barrel here. Some of the more elite terrain as we see Josh Levin and Lila Neahring coming out again.
Scoping it out. Josh already laughing,
Yep.
chuckling at the sequence.
Not much left to do at this point. All right. Lila cruising into that first jug. Even a little more static.
Just getting some fancy footwork here on men's 3.
Yeah, Josh has already
Twisting and turning.
blown past Dan's
There
high
it is.
point.
Oof.
Oh, just not able to hold on an incredibly negative, slopey pinch. All right, Josh taking a second to brush off the start. Imagine every little bit of friction helps here. Some of those wonderful stick brushes, hand taped by wonderful desk staff here at Cliffs of Id. Look at that craftsmanship. So both of our competitors just taking a second to
Figure these out.
figure them out, just get one last glimpse.
Get their game plans on. All right, and Lila is back on women's 3 final problem.
A much different start than we saw Mariana commit. No hand-heel match, very static through that second move.
Nice job getting those feet over to that volume.
Let's see if she noticed that little teeny tiny toe jib on the backside of that thing. Almost. That's the right idea. Josh has just pulled on again, as you can see right in the background of our shot.
Take a look at this fancy footwork we saw the last time he was up here.
Very fancy footwork. And this is as far as we've seen one of our men's competitors go.
Look at that
bicycle heel toe cam. I mean, you have to whip out all of the footwork techniques you have in your arsenal. It looks like his shin is a little bloody. Giving it his all.
There you go. Getting pumped up.
So far, blood and sweat. We'll see if tears make an appearance or if he gets this top.
I am tired just watching this. Nice.
And Josh gets it. Oh, with his feet just wrenched into position.
Ah.
Oh. And an explosive fall. And he's all right. Fist bumping it out. While Lila, just peels off that volume again. Crowd is losing it for both of these climbers, trying super hard.
We'll see if Josh gets back on. He has about 40 seconds left. He is taking his shoes off, though. I'm not sure if he has called it.
Him and Dan are kind of discussing things over. I don't know if that's necessarily allowed, but it looks like the shoes are off and the towel has been thrown.
All right, and Lila figuring it out for her final go on women's 3.
She better get a move on because she has about 15 seconds to jump on the wall before time is out. And there she goes. Just with a few seconds left. All right, up to that jug. Once again, nice and static. In control. A little extra camming around that second jug. Oh, just peels off.
Yeah, those feet did not look as solid as she wanted them.
Yep, and these competitors have been working extra hard today. A full day of comp climbing, and then 2 very challenging comp
very
problems.
powerful.
Incredibly powerful.
Third climbs for men and for women.
All right. So once again, here is Hank Gaylord, Elise Buser coming out for their 3rd problems of our TCS finale here at Cliffs of Id. One can only imagine what they are thinking back in isolation in our staggering rope wall section. Hearing the crowd reactions. All right, and both of our climbers are ready to start. We got Hank just feeling out the beginning of men's 3. All right, both of our climbers off the ground.
He's also opting for the more static movement up to that hold as opposed to the dyno move that Mariana had done on her attempts.
Always fun to dyno, though. And Elise getting farther than we have seen any of our female climbers get on women's problem number 3. Walking those feet out. I don't even know what direction that would be in. I guess to the left.
Going out, getting that. Oh.
Oof. All right, Hank is coming off his 2nd attempt. Both of these climbers showing just a little trepidation to get back on the wall. Hank with that initial bicycle. Very high heel hook. Oof. Hank has about 2:45 left. Same for Elise. Taking another stab at women's 3.
What a nice transition. Oh, and she's
Rethinking it.
rethinking it, reassessing, readjusting.
So we're seeing Elise bypass that toe hook around the volume that everyone has been going for.
And she's tall enough that she can kind of get a knee bar in there, maybe.
Not bad.
How that volume her foot is on does not look like it is ideal for a knee bar, even.
Nope. I think she figured that out just at the same time we did. Oof, she's off again. Women's 3. Very challenging crux. I think we've seen present itself right at those first volumes, transitioning out of there. Whipping the crowd up. Seen some longer rests than usual with these problems, just because of how intensely physical they are. Hank peeling off again with about a minute left, while Elise continues cruising through that bottom section. Ooh. Getting inventive with that foot sequence, but it's not enough to keep her on. Got about 20 seconds and some change for these climbers left. See Hank making a little bit of progress, getting around those volumes. Just stretching out. Vaulting off of that volume with about no time left. All right, Hank called off the walls. His time is up. But, oh, Elise has been called off the wall as well. Excellent effort. Super tough problems. We got a glimpse of the TCS2016 hats being rocked by some of our members down there. We're almost halfway done with our third problem of the night.
Right, and we have coming up Cody Fults and Kara Condi.
All right, Kyra going straight up for that jug. Static move into the second one. Looks like pretty consistent beta we're seeing on women's problem number 3.
Going for the
Bicycle eventually.
quick coconut squeeze into the bicycle.
A coconut squeeze into the bicycle. These are real phrases with real meaning. Another reason to love this sport.
Getting that top crimp on women's 3.
Kyra getting inventive, using those teeny
Nice.
tiny
Oh, just
toes.
there she
Just
goes.
getting it. Nice. Exhilarated relief. Something you can only find in the climbing world.
Yeah.
Oh, face planting right into the mat. With about 3 minutes and 45 seconds left.
Yeah,
She's
they may
shaking
look
it
like
off.
jugs on these women's 3, but those are all long, powerful moves.
Lots of momentum. Wow, Cody using that length to his advantage. What a pretty futuristic little iPad camera. What is that thing?
I don't know.
Looks very modern.
Technology.
What an age we live in, Tia.
Soon the robots will take over. And
Soon they're going to be doing our jobs.
aren't they already?
I just mean the commentating.
Oh. Or are we the robots?
Heady questions here tonight as we watch the attempts at the halfway mark on men and women's problem number 3.
Can't work at a place called Cliffs of Vid and not get a little existential on it every now and then.
Absolutely not.
Trying to de-pump between goes here.
Extra necessary on these very long, very sustained, and very powerful problems.
And we have yet to see any of our finalists get halfway through these third and final problems here.
Very befitting of the final problems of our bouldering finale down here in Southern California. It's been a pretty crazy summer of climbing.
That's been an awesome comp season now that we have our own TCS down here in SoCal with our 3 lovely gyms, downtown LA, Hollywood, and Culver City.
That's what happens when you add 2 gyms within 1 year to Los Angeles. All right,
And
Kyra still sticking it.
getting back to where she was.
So far, the only female climber who has made it this far. So back
Trying
up
to
to her high
de-pump
point. Yeah.
through the climb, always challenging.
Shocking up a little bit. Grabbing onto that little intermediate foot jib.
Oof.
Oh, and just has to cut that left hand just enough that the momentum carries her off the problem onto the mat.
I almost think you might need to double clutch that. Just go for the dyno for both hands.
That does look like the intended beta.
But who knows?
I mean, she has probably one more attempt to get there. We're running low on time for both of these climbers.
Yeah, it looks like they have about 30 seconds to get back onto the wall for their final attempt.
And these third problems have been some of the more entertaining, I think, just because they're that perfect combination of power and balance that is really fun to watch.
Indeed, although I will say that men's 1 start was pretty entertaining.
That was pretty exciting. But I'm having a lot of fun watching these guys wrestle upside down and backwards, leading with their feet, trying to get up this beastly purple problem. Volumes are throwing a lot of our male competitors off. Kyra here, probably on her last attempt. Cutting feet, swinging around, and this is the time to go all out. No need to save any energy.
Oof. And
If you have any energy left, that is. All right, excellent work from Kyra Condi, who still has the high point, so we'll see how Amelia Marcuson does. We'll see what happens. Amelia being the
all right.
climber tied for first place with Kyra right now. Right now we do have Katie Malinowski, Mike McGee coming back up. A whole new round of climbers trying these incredibly difficult problems for your amusement. Mike already giving things a solid brush before that flash attempt. Katie's sticking that first move. And once
Almost
again,
looked like she was going for the dyno there, but decided to just move up the one arm.
seems to be the popular beta. By the way, I will try it after the crowds clear out. Very interesting bicycle on that second jug. Not totally out of line for this terrain. You usually see lots of technical heel and toe hooks.
There she goes up. Yeah, I think she spent a little too long trying to figure out the footwork there, tiring herself out.
It's easy to get very caught up on the flash, especially when it comes to competition climbing. All right, we're back with Mike, who wishes this was a two-hand start. Eyeing that backwards campus start that Dan was trying out.
Katie getting back up on women's 3.
Very casual, very static move. Just taking care of business.
See if she does differently with her feet, swinging over right from the start, not trying to...
Ooh, off again. Not sure which beta she prefers. Got about 2 minutes, 30 seconds for both of our climbers. The exact halfway point of the final problem. I'm not good at fractions, but we're in some identifiable, we're at like the 5/6 of the way through. Is that it?
Sure, yeah, let's go with that.
I think I missed that week. Mike giving a little blow onto that volume, just clearing away any chalk that might be remaining after a little bit of scrubbing. We're matching on the very tiny pinch, just 3 fingers at a time.
Ah. Cannot seem to make them stick, however.
Yep. It looks like a very puzzling transition, especially when you just want to climb these things and be done with it.
Right, you are. Say it takes 2 to tango, but these routes are not looking like very willing partners this evening in these men and women's.
They are not.
3.
They do not want to dance. Getting that very secure looking bicycle. Really got to lead with the feet on this one, which is not the most comfortable position.
Oof, what core tension.
As a reminder for everyone listening out there, do your sit-ups. Work on that core.
Alright, and Katie is up on her... what could possibly be her final attempt.
Looks
as
like
is
it.
Mike.
We were in the single-digit seconds. I think time just ran out. So Mike, just coming off for the last time.
And Katie and Mike are both off. Great efforts on some very challenging routes.
Incredibly challenging. I think you just have to look at what a difficult time all of our climbers have had tonight on both men and women's problem number 3. See how this finale is wrapping up.
And coming up, it looks like we have Connor Gurzi and Sarah Pearce.
Sarah just taking one last look before the clock starts. I believe the clock has already actually started, so she's using some of this comp time to really suss out what's going on up top. Although we've seen the lower portions of women's number 3 be the real problematic part for our female
I'm sure
climbers.
it does not get easier as you get up higher, though. It just...
I'm sure not, but I think it's easy to overlook some of the lower portions of a climb, maybe kind of discounting them as not any more challenging than the top, when really that's where we're seeing the majority of our female climbers and our male climbers falling off. Of course, that's hard to say considering nobody's gotten any farther. Connor going for a really interesting kind of cross move into that volume.
Sarah not quite able to stick that jump move into that left hand.
It looks like she was trying to do it statically like we've seen most of our female competitors doing. She might have to switch up to Mariana's dyno approach. Got Connor kind of dangling there, just campusing out the intro segment. Men's 3. Finally getting a very spread bicycle.
Making some progress. Oof.
Ooh, just coming off.
Not able to hold on to it.
But his height enables him to pull off that bicycle move on both the starting hold and that little foot on the bottom of the barrel. Sarah swinging
going for
toe
the
in.
hand-foot match, which seems like an interesting choice.
And
rethinking
that, yep.
Yes. Does not look like the way to go.
Powering off that left foot right into that left hand seems like maybe what they wanted you to do. Trying it out, coming off.
And there's
still
shockingly still
campusing.
pizza left. I see some people chowing down here.
We're pretty good at planning ahead here at Touchstone. We know those climbers are hungry for free stuff.
Connor is not having an easy time on this men's 3. And Sarah Pearce
finally
going for that
sticking
dyno
that
move.
undercling dyno.
Almost seemed like an easier choice for her height going into that hold.
Yeah, you know, I wonder if that is why Mariana went with that dyno originally. Very hard to reach that far while you're maintaining a foot on more vertical terrain, kind of reaching into that roof. Connor is committing to this campus opener. Pretty exciting. Slapping that volume.
Really going for it. What
the amount of friction. I mean,
what a bump on that.
I'm surprised that he's not grabbing the underside, doing a little undercling, but he's making it
There
work.
He goes.
There he
Flipping
goes.
that hand, making work of it.
Oh man, that friction. Oh,
Oof.
just coming off.
I believe that's a high point for the men's 3, though.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. We'll have to take a look at the scores. It's hard to tell where exactly our men's competitors are
Yeah.
ending up.
See the.
Still a little disappointed we haven't seen anyone get up to that real long rail that's just bathed in chalk up there, that big white swash across the squid section of our barrel over there.
At this rate, I would be surprised if we saw one get up there.
Yeah.
Looks like it's just challenging for all of our finalists.
That is what we said about men's number 2, and then Kyle came in and flashed it, so we might see.
Sarah going for that dyno again. Definitely
Very
seems to
good.
be working better for her than the more static approach.
Once again, the main problem, very good, Connor. Once again, the main problem is that, it's not just if you can do the
Connor
problem or not.
powering through this section here at the bottom of men's 3. Oh, it just misses that next pinch. And that is it for Connor and Sarah. All right, and finally we have Kyle Owen and Amelia Marcuson. Before we find out the best in show here at our TCS comp.
We will. And what a show it's been. All right, so Amelia and Kyle still making their way out here. We'll see if Kyle can repeat some of his magic from men's 2. I think a flash on this problem would absolutely put him in the lead by a long measure. But I believe he's a definite contender for first place here. I believe Kyle has flashed both of the men's problems so far, chalking up his shoes a little bit.
Can't hurt.
Obviously not. Nobody else did it, so maybe that is the magic touch. A little bit of inaugural brushing as the clock starts ticking down.
On women's 3.
Oh,
Thought about that dyno move.
Yep.
Hesitated and decided to go for the more static approach.
Maybe a little too much hesitation though. A little too static. Just peeling off.
There it is.
Committing to the dyno. All right, Kyle Owen just pulling on. Let's see if he can do it. Really moving through that section. And he hit that thumb catch. He hit that little bit of purchase for your thumb on the back.
Yeah, I feel like you definitely want to
hold.
move through this bottom section as quickly as possible to try to get to a better rest. And he is definitely working hard to stay onto those pinches.
Lots of tension.
Oh,
And he just ties the men's high point, which I think is enough to put him in first place. So not going to get a flash on men's 3, but almost certainly coming in first, Kyle Owen. Amelia coming off again.
They both have plenty of time to still finish these routes.
Yep, we got over 3 minutes for both of our climbers here. With Kyle blasting through the lower segments that have been giving our other male climbers a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the way to go. I think if you can kind of power through that bottom section, you might be able to get a rest on that white volume there before you move out to that heinous-looking rail.
I just want to see the rail. I want to, because I know I certainly won't be climbing it anytime soon, so really love to see how she goes. It's been quite a treat for the last week watching our Touchstone route setters work their magic all over our walls.
Just killing it with these comp problems.
86 problems plus the 6 you see right in front of you, so that's 92 problems within 4 days. Incredibly impressive. And not only did they set them, they had to climb them, too. So whenever you're in the gym next, thank your local route setter.
All right. Amelia and Kyle both powering through the bottom sections of these final climbs. Kyle already back to where he was when he came off. Looking.
Oh, well that is the high point now.
And Amelia is still going strong on women's 3. Working through this very powerful, ultra sustained, unforgiving La Tortuga.
Very unforgiving. And it's not just the arm position. It's not just the hands that are sustained, but you really got to crank down hard with some very challenging horizontal footwork. Lots of tension throughout your lower body. It's hard to keep your mind focused on the entire...
Gotta core up.
I've said it before in this broadcast. Do your core exercises if you are trying to climb harder. All right, both our climbers taking another attempt. We are under a minute left. TCS Finals 2016.
What? Amelia sticking that dyno yet again, making it look so casual.
Just having a hard time swinging those feet over. There she is.
That volume does not look very friendly.
It does not. Looks like Amelia still has a few seconds. All right. She's back on the wall, though she is looking fairly fatigued. Kyle, I'm surprised, is not getting a little bit more of a move on with his 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds.
Taking his time,
and
they are
just
both
pulled off the
on.
wall. All right. Both of our climbers getting another attempt, although Amelia comes off just as the clock ticks down.
All right, Kyle really working hard.
We could see an 11th hour send by Kyle. Which would be a lovely cherry on top for our already first place competitor. Getting a top on all 3 men's problems. Flashes on 2 of them. And it's just not going to happen tonight. Amazing effort by all of our climbers here.
Great show from all of our finalists. Great climbing, great route setting.
Absolutely great route setting, and great members and guests. Look at all these people who came out Saturday night to come spend the night with us, and some free gigantic pizzas, and a couple of kegs, courtesy of Angel City Brewing.
Shaved ice cream.
Just brewing.
You know,
shaved
all
ice.
the good things.
Indeed. We know how to party here at Touchstone. You got some people trying out the first move on men's number 1, seeing why it is not particularly easy. See a couple of our route setters mingling with the crowd.
Seeing some of our finalists trying to get back on some of these final problems to
just settle the score.
Yeah.
Wrestling with their demons in the form of comp freshies. Let's see, Dan looks like he's taking another stab at men's 3. That he's gotten a little bit of beta from Kyle. He just makes it look easy from here. Personally, I think I'm going to want to rope up to try a lot of these things. I am not going to want to spend the time trying these moves out over and over again.
It's half the fun.
I guess.
Also, I will say, have you seen these trophies we have?
I have seen these
one
trophies.
myself.
They are incredible.
Even though I did not climb, they are adorable.
Made for us by our in-house hold company, Stone Age Climbing Holds. Some super cute little trophies.
And it looks like we will have scores in a little bit. Stay tuned.
Just crunching the numbers, although from my own math, I believe Kyle Owen came in first place. with his flash on men's number 2 and his high point on men's number 3.
Leave it to the numericons.
Yep. I am a climber and not a mathematician. We're just kind of circulating, taking a couple swings on men's number 1. Having a pretty good time of it. Oh, falling off. So many familiar faces out here. Lovely to have everyone come out for our Touchstone Climbing Series SoCal Bouldering finale. I believe next year, now that we have our staggering rope walls up, we'll be doing some rope finals too. Or at least some kind of rope competition down here.
Ooh. All right, and here are the men's final scores.
All right, so as we thought, Kyle Owen comes in first place with 2 tops in 4 attempts. 2 of those tops, I believe, were flashes on men's 1 and 2. Josh Levin coming in a close second, and Connor Gurzi coming in at third. Looks like we had some climbers not
super
finish.
Strong competitors, super hard routes today.
Absolutely. Come on in and try them yourself. Feel free to get shut down by our very inventive route setters.
And our women's scores with Kira Condi at our first place and Amelia Marcuson coming in at a very close second.
Yes, indeed. And Elise Buser coming in an even closer third. I mean, you can see what really separated a lot of our female competitors was just the amount of attempts they made. Very impressive. Looks like all of our female climbers got up at least 1 problem each tonight.
Always nice to see.
Always very nice. Once again, it just shows you how strong everyone is. And the action is still going on super strong behind us. We got a ton of people climbing, eating the last of our pizza.
Still going on that pink dino on men's lunch.
Still, I think you can see them like right around here behind us.
Still going.
Everyone just milling around, trying out the comp problems one last time, drinking up all of our beer and pizza. So,
excellent.
I think it's our time soon too, right?
Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Hope you guys had a great time. See you next year.
Come on back. Thanks, guys.